Hello and how are you? In this section we will see about a display property value inline block. Previously we will see about display property block and display property inline. So both of them have different behaviors. The block property holds the total width of an element or parent element, and the inline element only takes the content width. There are also some differences between the two, and inline block element is used to solve such differences. So let's see first a W3 uh, statement that compares inline block with display block and display inline. So let's first see the example. So W3 schools.com. So CSS, and this one we get inline block CSS. So as we see here, compared to display inline, the major difference is that display inline block allows to set a width and height on the element. So, which means display inline does not allow to set a width and height on the element. The first difference is this. And the second one, also with display inline block, the top and bottom margins paddings are respected, but with display inline, they are not respected. Especially for margins, paddings are okay. So display inline does not keep margin top and margin bottom. The other is compared to display block, the major difference is that display inline block does not add a line break after the element. So the element can sit next to other elements, which means if there is a space in display inline block, elements can sit side by side, but it is not possible on display block. The fourth one is the following. So let's see this on practice. So let's turn to our code. So let's have some inline elements, for example, span element. Then in this one, I am span element. So here, let's add span selector and let's add some border to 1 pixel, solid and black. So let's see what it looks like first. If we open this one, we see here that the span element. So let's add some width and height property. The width property to be 200 pixel and the height property to be 300 pixel. So if we refresh this one, as we see, if we refresh it, there is no change on the width and the height property. So in order to solve this, we have to make it a block element or the inline block element. So let's make display property inline block. Now, if you refresh, you see that the height and the width is changed or set by the inline block element. So we can change in this way. The other difference between inline block display inline is we cannot apply margins. We cannot apply for the inline elements, we cannot apply margins. So let's add first margin top 20 pixel, and if you refresh now, let's save it. I think it is saved. So if we save it and refresh it, as we see, there is no margin outside on the top side. So this is the properties inline elements does not accept margin top or bottom. But if you use, unlike W3 recommendations, if you use padding, for example, padding bottom to 20 pixels. As you see, the padding is working. So there is some typing or typo errors in W3. So padding is working, but margins are not applied on line elements. So here is the difference between that. So if you make this one to display of line block, we get the margin also the height and width properties applied. So this is one of the advantage used to apply margin and height and width to the inline elements by using inline block elements. You can make it by using the display block property, but block property by itself has some drawbacks. So we will see it now. The other properties, let's have some div elements here. Let's say it's div1, and let's say it's the second one div2. So for div1, let's give some class name. For example, here div class name div1, and for the second one, let's give it class name of div2. So those div1 have a width of, let's give some width 200 pixels, and height of 100 pixels, and let's give some background color of the light blue. For the div2, we can give similar background, but just let's change the background on to make it tomato. And here let's add some margin top 5 pixels. So if you refresh now, you get another elements at the bottom. As you see, we have 2 elements. So it is a normal flow. So even if there is white space beside this the block element, as you see, there is a lot of white elements, but it does not take, or it does not take the second element to each side. So in order to make that, we can make the first element to inline block. Okay, if we change this one, display to inline block, as we see, the div elements can go to the other div elements. So inline elements can come to side by side. So if you make also this one an inline element, display line block, and if you refresh it, the other elements also come to side of the other element. So we can change the behavior of the block elements to come to side by side, or they placed side by side by the help of the display property line block. So that is the display property line block.